All right, so the next person up is Mirabel that we're going to talk about. And so her physical and psychological health, her answers were that she felt physically better and psychologically better from the moment she started to last March. So her overall physical health went up 9 points. And if I added happiness in there, her physical health went up about 11 and a half points. For her psychological health, it went up 15.75 points, which is really amazing. And if I add optimism and happiness, it actually goes up only 11.5% points, which I think is kind of interesting. And that's because her optimism actually fell from pre to post. So we have to look at that, and we'll talk about that in depth a little bit more. But I wanted to see what you thought about her physical and psychological health from.
Well, I'll say Mirabel has been one of the strongest people we have in the cohort with a sound psychological health, almost sound. Then from the time they were running away from the war and abandoned everything, there was no sense of hope. There was a lot of despair. So when they joined the cohort and were being taught from month to month, being educated and empowered, things changed. She was now able to go out, get something doing, and earn a living to get the house that she's living in. So a lot of things have changed with her.
Okay. So you would agree with these results and with her saying that she feels better physically and psychologically.
She feels better.
Okay.
If you look at even the last EQi, the one that we're doing it for those that we missed out, you will see that she's quite sound and looking healthy, and all freshen up.
Okay.
Unlike when she first came.
Okay. All right. So if we look at her overview when she at our pre, her total EI score was 84. So again, normed average is 90 to 110. So she falls a little short of the 90. And if we look at her composites, her overall composites, her self-perception is 89, self-expression 81, interpersonal 91, decision-making 86, stress management 86, happiness level is 73. So when you look at just the composites, the overall 5 composites, she's actually balanced. It looks like she's balanced. Okay. So even though it's like lower than the 90 normed, the 90 to 110, except for interpersonal is 91, so she hits it slightly. What matters more is that she's balanced within her composites and her subscales. It's more important to be balanced than it is to have a really high score and unbalanced. Okay. So if we go back into the subscales, I'm looking at self-regard is 71. So that's really kind of low. And then if I go to assertiveness, it's 98. Problem solving 87, optimism 113. So if we look at happiness is at 73, self-regard is at 71. Again, it looks like a person's self-regard, their ability to respect themselves and have confidence in themselves seems to parallel directly with whether they're happy. Even though your optimism and your positivity can be higher, and it's probably what fuels you to keep on going. Your sense of positivity, your hope, keeps you on going. You can be very hopeful but not happy. And I've always said that, and it's interesting to me when self-regard and happiness kind of parallel each other. And as happiness goes up, so does self-regard. Or as self-regard goes up, so does happiness. They're kind of like together. They're linked. Anyway, if we go to self-actualization, she's got a 112, which is, over the norm, which is wonderful. So she has a good sense of wanting to improve upon herself, understanding the importance of meaning in her life. Also, probably the importance of having a purpose in her life. Her emotional self-awareness is a 90. Not too bad, And again, this is our baseline. Where is she today? Which was at the beginning of our impact study. Her self-expression composite is, like I said, 81. So her emotional expression is 85. Her assertiveness, her ability to communicate her feelings in a non-offensive way, not only her feelings, but what she believes in, is at a 98. And then her independence, right? Her ability to be free from emotional dependency, her ability to make decisions without questioning, without feeling confident in her choices. It's self-directed, right? She's not like asking people, about this or that or whatever. Well, she's at a 75, so that kind of that doesn't surprise me, because her self-regard is at a 71. So she doesn't have a sense of confidence. I'm not sure if Mirabel doesn't respect herself. Mirabel is, let's see, she's 25 years old and she's got 3 children. She was displaced.
No, she's above that. She's an error there. She's about 31.
Okay, so you're gonna have to get me her ages, because I have her logged in at 25. So so if she's about 31, she's got 3 kids. I imagine, it's kind of interesting that she doesn't have a sense of confidence about herself emotionally. My guess is she respects herself, but maybe her sense of confidence isn't there. And her independence score of 75 kind of agrees with that. That's just my initial thoughts. In regards to her interpersonal composite, her interpersonal relationships now is 103. She probably has some mutually satisfying relationships. Probably with her children and herself, kind of goes back and forth. Maybe there's some other relationships out there that are mutually satisfying, which is why she's at 103. Empathy, she's at 70. It looks like she doesn't really understand or appreciate how other people feel, and it could be because she's been displaced. She's probably upset. I can't remember, is she married? Did her husband let's see, pass away or anything like that?
Her husband is still alive, but they are not living together.
Okay, so her sense of empathy being low is understandable, I guess I should say. So her social responsibility, her ability to be aware of community and want to be helpful, and is at a 108. So even though originally her 5 composites, when we initially spoke, were in balance, you see when you get into these 15 other subscales that they seem to be out of whack a little bit. Okay, so in decision making, problem solving is 87, reality testing is 103, her impulse control is 77. She's a little out of whack there. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. Stress management, her flexibility 84, stress tolerance 68. Her ability to cope with stressful situations is at 68. Impulse control is 77. That says to me that she is independence is 75, self-regard 71. That says to me that she is suppressing. She is just taking it all in, and she's probably not really she's resisting her ability to act, her impulse control. She's basically burying it, and she's holding everything in. That would be my guess. And again, her sense of optimism is 113. She's very hopeful. It's what's carrying her through because she's not, doesn't seem to be very happy. Would you say that that pretty much reflects her when she first started the program?
Well, I could talk about her just at the end and from the beginning, midway. I really not have a lot to say. The differences, how she came in when she was emotionally weak, living in despair, and all of that, and how she's going out with a lot of optimism.
Okay.
A high mind.
All right. So then, at midpoint, her total EI is 111. So she really skyrocketed, and she got it was very much higher, right? If you look at her 5 composites, her self-perception goes to 111, self-expression 124, interpersonal 119, decision-making 104, stress management 92, happiness 99. So she's looks like on paper with these 5 composites, she's balanced except for well, she's a little, self-expression is a little bit higher. She's a little out of balance here. Her stress management she brought up, but I still think that I'm going to guess that it's because she's just still not, she's basically still holding everything in, but she does seem to be happier. And so I'm wondering if that's because her self-regard has gone up. So go back to overview under the 15 subscales. So we look at self-perception, and yes, indeed, her self-regard goes from a 71 to a 109. That's 38 points. Okay, so now I'm just going to pop over to where she was low. Independence went from 75 to 116. Okay, we look at impulse control, goes from 77 to 105. Now her stress tolerance started at 68. She went to 84, which is really good. It may not be at that norm of hitting 90, but she actually made like 16 points or whatever it was, 16 points, increase. So at midpoint, it looks like not only does she respect herself, but she has a huge sense of self-confidence, which flows over into her ability to make choices or decisions or communicate not only her beliefs and feelings in a non-offensive way, but also her what she is her beliefs are self-directed. They're free from any emotional dependency. So she's making choices on her own. She's not very hesitant with all of that. She's looking really, really good, really, really strong here. Her empathy goes from a 70 to a 129. And I think this has to do with the cohort. She is really understanding the importance, and she's being shown the importance of appreciating how other people feel because she's in this sense of community within your cohort. So she skyrockets. Look at that. She goes up 59 points. That's massive, a huge spike. Her social responsibility, I'm not surprised, goes up to 122. Her emotional, I'm just flopping all over here, but her emotional expression, her constructive use of her emotions goes from an 85 to a 131. Again, she's making great strides. Under problem solving, she takes a little bit of a hit. She goes down to 84. Reality testing goes up to 124. Impulse control goes up, like I said, to 105. Flexibility goes down to 81, but her stress tolerance goes up and her optimism stays steady. Her happiness definitely goes up to 99, and I do believe that's because her self-regard, her feeling about herself, respecting herself, and her sense of self-confidence about herself has gained, and I think that also makes her internally happier. So right at midpoint, she's doing great, right? She looks good. She looks solid. She's a little out of whack. She's still unbalanced, but she's, making strides. But if we go to post, her total EI then goes to a 105. but still from midpoint it goes down 6 points, but from pre it goes actually up 21 points. So from pre to post she's up 21 points in total EI, which is fabulous. If we go into the 5 composites, her self perception at post is at 122. She started at 89, she ends at 122. Self expression goes to 100. So it goes down 24 points from mid, but it's up 19 points from pre. So she's on a roller coaster, really. Okay. Interpersonal is at 111, decision making 92, stress management 95, happiness goes down 2 points, but I think it's just been settling in a little bit at a 97. So she's had some major fluctuations from mid to post, and I'm not sure exactly why, but if I go back to self-regard, on the 15 subscales, back onto our overview chart, self-regard increases even more to a 111. She goes up 40 points from pre to post. I'm really, really interested in the self-regard. I think one's self-regard anchors themselves, and her happiness it's at 97. She's actually up 24 points from pre, right? So these are very solid, and this is what I'm going to focus on, because if I look at her self-actualization, it goes up, 122. She has a good sense of self-improvement, the importance of self-improvement, the importance of meaning in her life, purpose in her life. Her emotional self-awareness, her ability to understand her own emotions and how to manage them goes to, the management goes down into, some of those other sub-composite scales. However, it goes to a 125, so she's up 35 points, right? So her impulse control goes to a 99, so she's actually up 22 points. So her ability to not only understand her emotions, but to also manage them looks like she's doing a better job. Her stress tolerance goes to an 89. She's up 21 points. So she's coping with stressful situations much better. She's managing her emotions much better, and she understands them much better. So this is good. Her emotional expression goes to 121, still up 36 points. Assertiveness, she goes back down to a 98. Her ability to communicate her feelings and her beliefs in a non-offensive way, she's basically at a standstill. So she has, so her ability to communicate seems to be frustrating her, seems to be a challenge for her. And again, it's a 98. She falls within that norm of 90 to 110. However, her constructive expression of emotions is at a 121. So I don't, that just doesn't make sense to me. Her independence goes from a 75 to a 116 down to a 78. Okay? So it doesn't make sense. She's out of whack here. So I'm not sure what's going on. Her interpersonal relationships actually goes down 6 points to a 97. Her empathy goes down from the 129, but I think she's just trying to get in balance, which I'm okay with. She's still up 37 points. Social responsibility, she's at 129. So she's a little out of whack on this, right? Decision making, she ends up at a 92 in the composite, overall composite, up 6 points. Problem solving, she's less. She's at 73. This is a woman who's, my guess is, she doesn't understand how to get from A to B without her emotions in tow. She can't separate the emotional part and make good choices. Yet she sees things and objectively and as they really are. She's at a 114. Her impulse control is at 99, but she still doesn't understand, and I think she's losing a little faith here in the process of problem solving. her stress management, now her flexibility goes to 105, stress tolerance still goes at 89, and her optimism falls to 95. I think it goes down literally 18 points. So my initial reaction to this is we haven't hit it home. She doesn't see the I don't know. The problem solving, I think, is an issue. She's not, and if I look at her independence, self-directed, free from emotional dependency, she had it at midpoint, but then she lost it along the way. And I don't know why, what happened. And that's the question for her is what's going on? You know, what's going on really with her she is I guess I would approach it with she's happier, and I think it's because she's happier about herself, but now she doesn't know what to do really. How do I move from here? She's now at this point in her life, and now she doesn't know how to move. So that's why, she's still positive, but being positive and having hope, she still has hope, but she's not exactly sure what that looks like in the future. She doesn't really know where to move to. And so I just, I'm at a, I don't know. I don't have a good sense of, I don't have a good grasp on her. I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light on that for me.
Well, I really don't understand what to say apart from the fact that problem solving is an issue to every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really do not know how to interpret the scores yet.
Mm-hmm. So I think, and, if we go under balance in EQi and we look at them in relation to some other subscales, we're going to see problem solving becoming out of balance, stress tolerance. There's a lot of things out of whack with her. So I'm not, something, I don't know what's going on. There seems to be an internal struggle.
And again, you did not send me in her scores.
Pardon me?
Results. You didn't send in her results for me to.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Let me send. Yeah, let me make a note. I just because I just finished them late last night. Just the post. Okay. You know what I mean? Because I was waiting for them to come in. Okay, I'll send those to you. So there's my note. I will send after we're done talking. I'll send that to you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here we are talking about it, and you don't have anything in front of you. My apologies. But I will say that I'm going to hold off, after our meeting with problem solving and then testing her again in September. Okay. We'll see where she falls. But my question to her would be, what's going on? What's going on? Is there an internal struggle here? Does she have some concerns and so on and so forth? So that's Mirabel.